Hello, my dear curious and studious students of surgery. Myself, Dr. Mahesh Chaudhary. I am warm welcoming you in my surgery lecture series. This surgery lecture series contains entire surgery with anesthesia, with radiology, with orthopedic. So stay tuned with us. Let's start our surgery lecture series. Welcome student in my surgery lecture number 26, that is the subphrenic abscess and diseases of the greater omentum and diseases of the mesentery. In this lecture we learn subphrenic abscess, tuberculous peritoneum, chronic tuberculous peritonitis, pneumococcal peritonitis, structure of the greater omentum, the wound of the mesentery and non-specific mesenteric lymphadenitis and mesenteric cyst. Now first we start with the subphrenic abscess. Surgical anatomy of subphrenic abscess. There are 5 subphrenic spaces in the upper abdomen between the diaphragm and the liver by disposition of the various peritoneal folds. 4 are intraperitoneal and 1 is extraperitoneal. Intraperitoneal 4 are right anterior intraperitoneal space, that is the frontal and above the right lobe of the liver. Second is the right posterior intraperitoneal space, that is the Rutherford-Morrison. Hepatorenal pouch posterior to right lobe of the liver and in front of the right kidney. Third phrenic space, subphrenic space are left anterior intraperitoneal space, and fourth subphrenic space are left posterior intraperitoneal space, that is the Leser sac in front of lesser omentum and posterior surface of the stomach and left kidney. And fifth extraperitoneal is the median extraperitoneal space, that is the bare area of the liver. Students, you can see the image, MRI image of the abdomen, clearly seen that there are subphrenic abscess, shadow of the subphrenic abscess is clearly seen. This is the another animated image where the subphrenic abscess is showing clearly. This is the chest X-ray abdomen. This is the another image of chest X-ray showing clearly subphrenic abscess. The clinical feature of subphrenic abscess are the symptoms and signs are very elusive. Pus somewhere, pus nowhere detected. That means under the diaphragm. Always remember this verb, pus somewhere, but pus is nowhere detected. That means under the diaphragm. Persistent fever with chills, pain in epigastric region. These are the common symptoms of this subphrenic abscess. Investigations: blood, absolute leukocytosis, increased ESR, straight X-ray, air fluid levels under the diaphragm, CT scan, CT abdomen, ultrasonography. Now the management: to drain the abscess, percutaneous drainage by needle aspiration under the ESG guidance, open drainage if there is a big in size subphrenic abscess. Next point is tuberculous peritonitis. The incidence of tuberculous peritonitis has declined over the past several decades. This is now a rare disease. It usually occurs in the patients who are malnourished or have cirrhosis. It is the secondary involvement. There is some primary focus elsewhere in the body. Various possible sites of primary are pulmonary tuberculosis, tuberculous mesenteric lymph nodes, tuberculous leosical region, tuberculous kidney, tuberculous pyosalpinx. Majority of the cases are due to reactivation of latent peritoneal tuberculosis which had developed by the hematogenous spread from the pulmonary focus. Dear students, you can watch the image of tuberculous peritonitis on your screen. There is a uterus, left ovary and right ovary is clearly seen. Urinary bladder is also seen there. There are very diffuse adhesions seen in the abdomen. This is the laparoscopic view you are watching. Typical tuberculous peritonitis picture. This is the resection of the omentum, tuberculous peritonitis. This is also the laparoscopic images clearly showing the tuberculous peritonitis. Adhesions and bands are clearly seen. Chronic tuberculous peritonitis. This is more common form of presentation. 4 forms are usually seen. First is the ascitic form. Ascites is the almost always present in more than half of the cases. Abdomen is tender and filled is typically duffy abdomen, anorexia, weight loss and night sweats. Investigations: chest X-ray to exclude the presence of tuberculosis in the chest. Second form is the encysted form. Only part of the abdominal cavity is affected. Affected portion presents as an intra-abdominal swelling. Here is the another image of the tuberculous abdomen. Bands with the viscera is clearly seen. Adhesions. This is another typical picture of the tuberculous viscera in the abdomen. Third form of the chronic tuberculous peritonitis are fibrinous form. Is characterized by fibrinous deposits in abdomen which cause adhesions of the coils of intestine. Coils become dilated. Operation requires placation or excision of strictured portion of the ileum with AKT. After adequate surgery rapidly cure this condition. Fourth form of the chronic tuberculous peritonitis are purulent form. Secondary to tuberculous salpingitis. Usually the tuberculous pus is surrounded by adherent intestine and omentum. Treatment with prednisolone during the initial month of the anti-tuberculous drugs therapy reduces the incidences of adhesions formation and subsequent development of obstruction. Now next point is the pneumococcal peritonitis. Pneumococcal peritonitis, this disease is presented as one of the two forms. One is the primary and second is the secondary. Primary pneumococcal peritonitis is much more common. The patient is often a malnourished girl in the first decade. In this disease, in these cases, pneumococci have got access through the vagina and fallopian tubes into the peritoneal cavity. It must be remembered that after 10 years, pneumococcal peritonitis is most unusual. In the secondary pneumococcal peritonitis is usually secondary to the pneumococcal infections of the upper respiratory tract or the middle ear. The peritonitis occurs due to the blood-borne infection. Dear students, you can watch the clear picture of the pneumococcal peritonitis on your screen. Now the clinical features of the pneumococcal peritonitis are: onset is sudden. This disease onset is sudden. Pain mostly in the lower half of the abdomen. Temperature frequently vomiting, tachypnea, frequency of micturition due to pelvic peritonitis. There is irritation of the bladder. Treatment of the pneumococcal peritonitis are conservative treatment of general peritonitis with antibiotic. Laparotomy becomes necessary to exclude other conditions. Peritoneal fluids for culture and sensitivity test. Odorless and sticky exudates is almost diagnostic for pneumococcal peritonitis. Now, the next point is the greater omentum. Structure. The greater omentum consists of double sheet of flattened epithelium within which there are epiploic vessels, lymphatics and nerves in areolar tissues with variable amounts of fat. The structure hangs in a double fold from the greater curvature of the stomach down to the almost pelvic and then folds on itself and moves up in front of transverse colon and with the transverse mesocolon to end at the anterior border of the pancreas. The right border is attached to the pylorus and first portion of the duodenum, while the left border forms the gastrosplenic ligament. The right side is usually longer and heavier and may possess tongue-like process extending into the pelvis. The omentum is in infants is usually underdeveloped. With growth, there is an elongation and thickening of the omentum due to deposition of the fat within its layer. Rutherford Morrison called the greater omentum as a policeman of the abdomen. Whenever there is any pathology within the abdomen, the greater omentum, that is the police guard of the abdomen, attempt to limit the infective process. The usefulness of omentum in inflammatory process is also related to its bacterial and absorptive properties. Here is a good picture, anatomical picture showing the greater omentum. Another picture is showing the stomach and the hepatogastric ligament is there, hepatoduodenal ligament, lesser omentum, transverse colon, greater omentum, gastrosplenic ligament, spleen, gastrosplenic ligament, gastrocolic ligament is clearly seen in this image. Now the mesentery. The wound of the mesentery may be injured by either penetrating due to the stabbing or gunshot wound. Treatment. First we must see the clinical features. There is no special clinical manifestation of this condition. Depending on rapidity of the hemorrhage, varying degrees of shocks are noticed. Abdominal pain, tenderness, rigidity are almost always seen. Straight X-ray of the abdomen is not helpful in this diagnosis. Now the treatment: immediate exploration of the abdomen to control this bleeding. If transverse tear and blood supply of intestine is cut off, then resection anastomosis, and if small tear in long axis, then only stitching of the mesentery is to be done. Now the next point is the non-specific mesenteric lymphadenitis. This condition is one of the common cause of acute abdominal pain in children. Its true incidence is not known. Etiology, cause is unknown. Virus has been blamed to cause this disease, and pathology of non-specific mesenteric lymphadenitis are mostly ileocecal mesenteric lymph nodes are enlarged due to the concentration of the mesenteric nodes in this area. Moreover, stasis of intestinal content in the terminal ileum favors absorption of bacterial products or toxins from the bowel lumen. Now, the clinical features of the non-specific mesenteric lymphadenitis are: pain is usually the first symptom, cannot indicate the exact site of pain. Shifting tenderness is a valuable sign which clearly differentiates this condition from acute appendicitis. Nausea or vomiting in 1/3 of the cases. On rectal examination, there may be tenderness on the right side of the pelvis, which is also characteristic sign. Treatment: no specific treatment is required in the non-specific mesenteric lymphadenitis. Dear students, here is the image on your screen you are seeing. There is a small lymph nodes in the lymphatic system of the colon. You can see non-specific lymphadenitis. This is the another image on the ultrasonography. You can see the huge mesenteric lymph nodes. This is the laparoscopic picture showing the mesenteric lymph nodes. Another image is also same. Now, the mesenteric cyst. Mesenteric cyst is also a rare entity and is occasionally come across by the surgeon. The main three types of cyst which are seen in the mesenteric are lymphatic cyst, enterogenous cyst and dermatogenous cyst. First, lymphatic cyst, commonest variety and arises from congenitally misplaced lymphatic tissue that has so efferent communication with lymphatic system. Enterogenous cyst, developed from a diverticulum at the mesenteric border of the intestine, which has become detached from the intestinal canal during embryonic life. This may also develop from duplication of intestine. Now, third type of the mesenteric cyst are dermatogenous cyst. This is the extremely rare. Contains structures derived from the endoderm, mesoderm and ectoderm, more often found as a retroperitoneal cyst. Dear students, this is the image of the mesenteric cyst on the ultrasonography, and this is open surgery where is a huge mesenteric cyst you can see on your screen. Now, the investigation: barium mill X-ray, coils of small intestine will be displaced by the cyst or some portion of the lumen may be narrowed. CT scan and USG helpful in diagnosing this condition. Treatment: exploration of the abdomen and enucleation of the cyst without disturbing the blood supply to the small intestine, otherwise ischemia will develop. Dear students, there are some good videos and animations and photographs available on the YouTube and Google and Wikipedia. You can watch it, observe it to clear the concept of all these points which covers in this lecture. And here is the end of our surgery lecture number 26. Thank you.